Hello, everyone. I am finally sitting down to talk about Eurovision 2024. I'm a little late getting up my videos about the songs. I did put up a video last month with just audio and video clips of each song ranked in my own personal preference of order. And of course, my thoughts have changed. That was about a month ago. So, my ranking always changes throughout the Eurovision season. That was my initial ranking. And of course, making this video, I'm like revisiting it and already kind of starting to think and feel a little differently about certain songs that are growing on me, some that maybe had a lot of initial appeal. And now I'm like, it's more songs that grow. That's usually the case for me with Eurovision. Today, I'm going to be talking about the songs that will be competing in semifinal 1, which will be held on May 7th. And I really hope that for us over in the States, NBC still has that deal where we get to stream the contest on Peacock. I haven't heard anything. I could research. Let me know if anyone knows in the comments anything about that for us, American Eurovision fans. It's been pretty nice to have Peacock and last year we didn't even have a commentator, which I really enjoyed. I like it when there's no commentator. So commentator or no commentator, I just hope that there's some sort of easy way for us to, without having to do VPNs and stuff, watch the contest like there has been on Peacock for the last several years. We've got 15 songs, only 15 songs competing. We only have 37 songs competing. So this is, in a decade, the smallest number of participants that we've had. In 2014, there were 37 participants. And then we jumped back up to being in the 40s for a long time before we slowly started getting back down to that number in the last few years. And that's for various reasons. A lot of countries just have not been returning. A couple countries have been banned. It's really sad to see Eurovision on the decline again. I feel like it was in the last decade on the up and up, and then now we see in the last couple of years returning and dwindling down. Still, the highest number has ever been 43. And several years we've hit that number, but not in a long time. We haven't hit that number since 2018. Now, before I get into talking about semifinal 1, I have to preface, and I suppose this conversation is a little more relevant to semifinal 2 because the entrant that is the center of all this controversy is not competing in semifinal 1. But I just want to, I feel like for those who are watching, they may be wondering, and just I want to let it be known from the jump that I am not going to be listening to or, talking about Israel's entry up until the point of the contest. I have not heard the song beyond a small snippet on Twitter, and I'm going to keep it that way. I will probably see the performance, in semifinal 2, and if it qualifies in the grand final. Although in the grand final, I might just walk away for a little bit during the performance. But my stance and my feeling on, and it's shared by many in the Eurovision community, is of Israel should not be allowed to participate in the 2024 song contest due to a ton of reasons. I could go on a whole separate video talking about the ongoing conflict, unfortunately, that is going on in Israel and Palestine right now. But I don't want to spend too long belaboring that. I think if you know, you've done the research, you've seen, what's been going on, what's been going down between the Israeli broadcaster and the EBU, which there is a lot of shady stuff. You can talk about, okay, on the basis of song alone and what's going on with the war, maybe is it fair for them to be disqualified? But some of the rules have been broken by KAN broadcaster. And Eurovision EBU is doing nothing about it. And I do not expect them to. I never fully really did, to be honest with you. There was going to be a potential situation where they were going to disqualify themselves, or they were going to withdraw because their song was not going to be accepted because of potentially political lyrics that they kept changing. But a political figure in the Israeli government stepped in. One of the ministers for culture, I can't remember, stepped in and said, we need to do whatever we can to get our lyrics qualified so we can participate in this contest. So the government stepped in. They want that propaganda. They want to be on the world stage, that European stage. And be that as it may, I think it is bringing a ton of controversy to this contest. It is bringing a lot of the integrity of the contest into repute, especially considering the situation with Russia and how Russia was, banned from the contest, Belarus, and the safety. I'm really worried about. I'm pretty confident that there will be a ton of security, like more so than ever, but that also makes the whole event. It's a really sad thing that needs to be the case. I think they're going to severely limit the amount of people that are going to be able to actually be in the arena. Like, it's going to, I think that it's going to ruin a huge aspect of, especially people who are there in person enjoying the contest. So I'm not surprised. Moroccan Oil is an Israeli company, and they are the primary sponsor of the contest. Russia and Belarus, their money wasn't really doing much for the contest, so banning them was not a problem. But Israel is a huge lobby in the US, and it has a huge lobby in Europe and in the EBU with this sponsor. And I don't know when the Moroccan Oil sponsorship is up, but I don't think this is the last year. Um, it's been for several years now, the primary sponsor. Money talks, and Eurovision needs a lot of money. Eurovision needs a lot of money. So there are a lot of complicated, or a lot of factors that come into these decisions. And I know it's controversial. I know it's overtly bringing politics into what is considered an apolitical competition. I don't believe that Eurovision is apolitical. Whether it wants itself to be or not, there are always going to be songs that have some political meaning. There's always going to be political voting with the juries. And what happened with Russia was political. The decision to ban them was a political decision. Also, somewhat the Belarus decision, though in some ways the Belarus decision was them defending their apolitical stance. And they were at some points trying to do that with Israel, but Israel had the exceptions it needed, the exemptions it needed to make it through. So anyway, Israel's not in semifinal one. There is one other country in semifinal one. I won't talk about too long, but I also think they should be scrutinized. Again, these are not necessarily the artists. I'm talking about the countries that they're representing. Azerbaijan, in a perfect world, probably should not be participating either, due to the atrocities that are being the land recapture, the forced land recapture of Artsakh and in Armenia. The Armenian-Azerbaijan war is really something that doesn't get a lot of media spotlight, and because of the Israel conflict, the international spotlight is letting Azerbaijan go under the radar, and that's not necessarily okay. But there isn't the same rallying boycotts and boycott energy and petition energy around Azerbaijan as there is with Israel. Israel's always been controversial in Eurovision. I mean, they hosted 5 years ago, and Hatari, there was that moment with Hatari with the Palestinian flag. There's been controversy for a long time, but Israel participating in 2024 could be the death of the Eurovision Song Contest. It may not be as big of a, impact on its bottom line as some people think. I think that people underestimate the amount of people who watch the contest who just don't care. And at the end of the day, it still draws in a ton of viewers. So I don't know if it may actually be quite as doom and gloom as some people are saying, but it definitely brings so much controversy. And I also think that regardless of your thoughts on Israel, Israel has more important things to be doing than participating. Countries at war, you could argue Ukraine, but Ukraine, it's not the same situation. It's not the same situation. It's not. It's just not. And I'm already saying too much. I was like, how political? I can't. The sad thing is I can't talk about Eurovision this year without talking about these events that are very sensitive for so many people. They're trigger points. They're really difficult conversations. This is a part of a broader contextual drama that is going on that is a whole other video. But it has to be addressed because I just need to preface the video by stating these things. But that's in semifinal 2. My semifinal 2 video will be coming up sometime in the next week. I'm trying to get these up this month before, the contest is almost upon us. 15 songs in semifinal 1. This is the smaller semi. I'm going to go through the songs in order. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of back and forth talk about a song that I really think should qualify and a song that I really think shouldn't, and I'm going to work my way towards those middle songs. So I'm going to start on the edges of my personal taste and preference for the songs competing. And then after, I'm going to go through my predictions, which will be completely, objectively looking at the contest and what I think is most likely to happen, who is most likely to qualify. It usually is never what I agree with. There's always some that slip through, that fall through the cracks, and it's always tragic. And I'm really curious to see what happens in this semi. There are some heavy hitters here. So the first entry that I want to talk about is the song I put at the top of my 37 songs ranked video, which is Ukraine. Jerry Heil and Alyona, Teresa, and Maria. Where Jerry Heil has performed before in Vidbeer, Alyona is a newcomer on the scene. Mother Teresa and Virgin Mary are with us. Barefoot, as if on a blade, they walked on the ground. With us are Mother Teresa and Virgin Mary. All the divas were born as human beings. In the verses, spring carves its way no matter what. She carries the weight of the world on her shoulders. The path is winding and rocky, but you should know your own happiness is in your hands. Come on, baby, shine. I'm not holy, I'm alive. And it goes on to paint a picture of a woman overcoming adversity. Life can be difficult, scary, and dark, but you have your ancestors watching you from heaven. You've got the saints up in heaven watching over you. They were once human beings. They have become saints by their actions, their devotion to goodness, spiritual purity. So it's a spiritual song with Christian undertones, but I'm not getting super dogmatic, preachy Christian vibes. As you know, of course, it is in Ukrainian, and that is not my language. So what I am really coming for in non-English songs is melody, rhythm, performance, vocal. And the vocals, I think, are underrated. Now, this is definitely a favorite. It is not considered a front runner, but it's definitely considered top 10 material. I still could see this potentially winning, but I do think that Ukraine winning only 2 years ago and the somewhat sympathy vote that whatever your feelings on, whether this is true or not, it did contribute to Stefania winning, even though that song deserved to win. Irregardless, if you follow me, you know how I feel about that. That song deserved to win, regardless of the war. I don't know if this song is necessarily going to pull it over the edge. I'm not seeing a lot of buzz. I'm seeing more buzz about this song than the songs that are borderline non-qualifiers, but out of the big heavy hitters, and Ukraine is a heavy hitter, they've always qualified ever since they started participating in the early 2000s. It's incredible. It's really incredible. Their qualification streak is unmatched. They will easily qualify. I am not worried. I love the visual for the Vidbeil performance because it is dark. For something that's supposed to be about something sort of heavenly and light, angels and saints, there's a grittier kind of gothic undertone to their performance, to the melody. And I really like that pairing because it's very mysterious and it's very bewitching. You don't exactly always feel comfortable. The song feels like an incantation that is at once uplifting and also ominous. But it blends genres of traditional incantational singing with more modern rap spoken word in the verses. So it's an interesting song. I think that it has a lot of potential to be a sleeper success that I think some people are sleeping on a little too much. And when I first, put my ranking together, it was the clear favorite for me. But I will say, after a month of listening to all these other songs, I'm not feeling the same way as I felt about Stefania about this one. I do think this is a stronger bunch of songs than in 2022. And so I think that Ukraine has a little bit more competition. And I think that even though I love this song for a lot of the same reasons I loved Stefania, it sounds Slavic, it sounds, like I said, kind of witch-like, pagan, yet it is also spiritual. It is also a little very Catholic, which is an interesting combination. Um, I think that this song has a really interesting mixture going on, and I just am not entirely sure I need it to win. Like I would like it to win, but I don't need it to win. Like I felt that way in 2022. I was like, I need this to win. There's just nothing else quite like it. Um, so I'd be interested to see how they do, but they are definitely qualifying. Who is definitely not qualifying? So basically, my bottom two non-qualifiers, I feel almost 100% sure on, and I think Moldova is in trouble. Natalia Barbu, with her song In the Middle, is just not connecting. She's very wooden in the performance, and I get that that's conceptual because she is supposedly reenacting a statue, but I don't think it sells and it doesn't convey very easily even if the lyrics are in English. It just doesn't translate based on the performances we've seen so far. I love the earthy percussion, the ethereal elements, but the chorus is the part that I'm not sold on. I'm not sure that her vocal is strong enough to do anything interesting with that chorus. And there's just not a lot of dynamism in the performance. So I really don't see this one, unfortunately, making it through. And I don't see a lot of people saying, like, oh my gosh, Moldova's got to get through this. I think Moldova is unfortunately not safe at all. But another entry that is 100% safe is Lithuania with Sylvester Belt's song Luktelk. This song I have as, I believe, number 3 on my ranking. I think I may switch it and move it up to number 2. Even though, to be completely honest with you, I could also make a case for number 1. Luktelk means tomorrow in Lithuanian. I'm going here and going there, and when the sun goes down, it's all over again. Tomorrow, 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 I promise to love you tomorrow. In the good, in the good, in the good, you'll find me in the good night. Obviously, these are genius lyrical translations. They may not be perfect. Am I still alive? Do you still recognize me? The sun doesn't rise. Tell me, will you stay close? Lyrically, I'm not interested in whatever the song is saying. I'm going to be really honest with you, but again, it's in Lithuanian. I support songs in their native language. We've got a lot of representatives for, singing in their native languages this year, and I love to see it. I think this song has the most interesting production. The studio cut, I'm addicted to. The bass, the synth beats are very smart, great earworm. Sylvester has this kind of quirky Troye Sivan energy that serves him well on stage with a song like this. It's very modern and it's very sleek, but it's also introspective, but it's a club banger. So it does a great job of blending those two energies, and I love songs that do that, because this song feels like it's a sort of insecure kind of insular moment that's being, beautifully laid over avant-garde, top-tier EDM production. This is the type of EDM music I like, not like what Sweden is offering this year. I have high hopes. I have high hopes for the choreography. I know he'll do the staging, the LEDs. I know that this will be a package that will win everyone over. Lithuania has been really, really a favorite of mine in the last 5 years, and I really want to see them take this contest. If the Roop couldn't do it, I don't know if Sylvester Belt might, but he is definitely taking a little bit of what Serbia was doing last year and just improving it for me. Serbia has a similar vibe, has a similar genre from what they did last year. Please forgive me, I forget the guy's name, but they have a very similar energy from Serbia's entry from last year, but this is a stronger variant of it. This is one that I will have on loop after the contest is over, and I will keep on loop. As far as another non-qualifier, I see Iceland as being in trouble. Hera Björk returns to the contest. No, not Björk, Hera Björk, after she performed in 2010 with one of my favorite songs from that contest, Je ne sais quoi. I don't want to hear slander against it, okay? It was perfect diva Eurovision pop. But what Iceland's offering with Scared of Heights is so many steps down from that. It just feels like phoning it in. It's got an old school kind of house dance vibe. Big diva kind of having fun on stage, owning her, owning herself. I love seeing an older woman representing a country in Eurovision. We've got a couple older divas. Love seeing it. But this song isn't doing anything for me melodically, really not that much vocally. The only thing I think that gives it a little bit of an edge is perhaps her age and her being somewhat a household name in the Eurovision world may give her a little bit of the push over the edge. Remember, the juries, the semifinals are entirely public voted. We don't have juries in the semis anymore. That's only in the final. And that might help Iceland just a smidge. But yeah, I'm not sure if it has what it takes. And I don't need it in my final, honestly. I don't. Croatia, however, everyone needs in the final. And we know Croatia's going through. Croatia could easily win this semifinal. The only reason I don't have it at number 1 is because it's not my personal favorite out of this group. I like Lithuania and Ukraine more. But I do like what Baby Lasagna is doing. I think that you've got 2 entries this year that are going to be really head-to-head competing with each other, trying to take the Karija energy from last year with Cha Cha Cha. You've got Rim Tim Taggy Dim by Baby Lasagna from Croatia, and you have Joost Klein with Europapa from the Netherlands. Now, they're not luckily competing in the same semis, so that wouldn't be a problem. They would definitely both go through. They get their own semis, which is kind of nice for them. But it'll be interesting to see in the final which one comes out on top. I think there is a very strong chance that one of those 2 songs wins the contest. I'm just saying it right now. I think that, last year, Loreen ended up overtaking Karija, but there was such an undertone of like the people were behind Cha Cha Cha. I think that will just come to a complete swell. You could see the division happening where, people want to vote for Europapa and Baby Lasagna, and they hurt each other both in that process because they're siphoning votes away from each other so that someone else, like maybe Italy, for example, or maybe Ukraine, comes in and steals away. But I think, first of all, a man has an edge coming after Loreen. I'm just going to say it. And I think that people want a rock and roll entry again. So some people want something kind of bonkers, but here's the thing. I'm not a big heavy metal person, but I really like this song just like I liked Cha Cha Cha. I like Cha 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 a little bit more, but I actually do respect Rim Tim Taggy Dim more because I think it has something more to say. Rim Tim Taggy Dim is a really interesting song lyrically that has a lot of meaning. Cha Cha Cha, not quite the same. Baby Lasagna is a, jaded Gen Z millennial cusp from the Croatian countryside who is singing about those city folk and the stagnant kind of economic situation for people in rural parts of Europe. Everyone is leaving their kind of ancestral areas and moving to cities, particularly in Western Europe, or even leaving Europe altogether to go to the States. And he's commenting on it in such an interesting way. And it's in a way that's not exactly saying one is bad or one is good. It's just a comment on the frustrations that many young people have, and also their parents seeing them caught in this sort of identity crisis of, well, I have this, I grew up in this small town and there's so much culture here, and I really don't want to completely lose my language and my connection to the simpler life and the beauty of the countryside. And Europe is so beautiful. There's all these things all of these things you want to preserve, all this tradition that gets homogenized when you move to these big cities where you become sort of no different to any other big Western city. And everyone dresses the same. Everyone, wears the fancy, Chanel clothes, and it just kind of behaves the same way. And everyone is chasing money, a little more like materialistic. And it's a really important message for 2024. And that's why I think this is the populist entry of this year. Now, Europapa also has meaning. You wouldn't know it from first listen, but if you listen to the Dutch lyrics, there is a lot of undertone there that's also, meaningful, and not just silly joke entry fodder. And so you can't dismiss either of these songs as purely joke. I mean, there's shock value a little bit, and there's fun and there's camp, but that's what Eurovision is about. I think Baby Lasagna has a winning ticket here, and I'm really excited to see, where they elevate the staging. I do feel like this song needs a little bit more of what Carria had in not replicating that staging, but something for him to perhaps be involved with, like maybe a dining table and having everyone stomping on the ground, like in the music video, having him stand on the table and getting all the crowd around him. I think if he's just with a microphone and, a couple other like backup dancers kind of not doing very much with the environment, the song's losing a lot of its meaning and its edge. So this song needs to be staged interestingly, to make it stand out, because some people may be turned off by the repetitive nature of the heavy chorus. And his vocals are probably not, they're rough at parts. But his styling is probably going to be really nice. I love the puffy sleeves, like a puffy sleeve. I love seeing that. Um, I'm excited for this entry, and it is. I think it's winning the semi. There's no way it's not, especially since it's popular vote only. All right, so now we're getting into slightly more controversial territory. My third non-qualifier is Luxembourg. Luxembourg is the returnee darling of 2024. We got it announced last year. I think it's wonderful that they're coming back. It's been 30 years since they last participated. As old as I am, I cannot believe that the last time they participated, I was a baby in 1993. So that is pretty amazing that they're coming back. But this is certainly not a comeback entry. Tali and her song Fighter, we need to try harder. We need to try harder. And she did do a revamp. Didn't work. Didn't work for me, at least. And it's a studio cut, which is going to sound more polished. I don't think that this song sounds polished in the times I've seen it performed. We love a enthusiastic body movement girl bop on the stage, but I feel like we have way more interesting choices. We have way more electrifying, heart racing kind of performances, and I think that Luxembourg is just a little bit of a mess. I think that she is a better suited for a song that is more of a folk lane, which the song almost wants to go in before it has to turn into a dance break number. And I think it's trying to do a lot of what like Israel did a few with Noah Kirill, and it's trying to be like slow mo, and it's trying to be like it's trying too hard, and it's just not working. There's another entry that's not in the semi, but I feel the same way about Malta. I feel like Malta and Luxembourg, girl pops that just aren't bringing it to the standard it needs to be. All right, so what is my fourth favorite of the final of the semi? A song that, out of the group I just said, I feel is the first one that may not qualify, but I still feel pretty confident, is Poland. Luna's song, The Tower, has just been the greatest and most persistent earworm that has never gotten out of my head since I've heard it. It's a slight song. It's not a song that it requires a lot of vocal technique or vocal prowess, but it's also not a mediocre song. I think it's a smart song in how hooky its melody is, and the production is interesting. I think that the hook will just always hook. The hook will just always hook. And so I'm interested to see, and I know she'll be styled really well because I love the styling in the music video. I'm interested to see how this translates, and I can't believe I have it at fourth of my favorite of in this semi, but it is. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people aren't that excited or galvanized by this song, but I see it qualifying. I hope it does, but it's not a guarantee. Azerbaijan is tricky because you do have to separate the political sentiment. And I will do this for this song, even though Israel, I will just, not comment on at all in semifinal two because I haven't heard it. I have heard this song, and it's not terrible. It's not terrible. Okay, we need to be real. There is some musicianship on display. I think that the string elements are really great at bringing you in. I'm not going to even attempt to pronounce the title because I think I will just completely butcher it. But Fari, with Ilkin Dovlatov. I do believe that there are some Russian connections to at least one of these artists, which is also problematic. I lived a life standing on my own, chaos inside and mysteries unsolved. Only with you I feel how the burdens of my life just disappear. Through all the lows and highs, love has guided me to the gates of paradise. Hold my heart in your hands. Do you have what it takes? Hurricanes are roaming, but you take away the pain, healing all the scars and breaking chains. There's some really ethnic instrumental here with the what's called a mukaham, the string instruments. Adds so much richness to the melody. I do enjoy it. I'm knocking at some points for politics. I hate to say it, but I am. Um, if this song qualified, to be honest with you, it would not be the most egregious thing. I wouldn't be too upset, but I don't think it will. Um, I don't think Azerbaijan has the same. I mean, they do qualify. They've done well. They have a pretty good qualifying streak. So that's working for them. They're not like Georgia. They're not like Georgia. It just don't seem to work out for Georgia. I hope this year they break that curse. I think they have the best shot they've had in years. Again, that's semifinal too, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't have them qualifying in my ideal lineup, but I could see them making it through. Serbia is an understated ballad, and we don't have a lot of understated ballads this year. We don't have a lot of particularly female understated ballads. And so I think Ramonda by Teodora has a real niche occupied that this contest needed this year. I don't have neither peace nor sleep. The night frightens the day. The lonely ones suffer. Everything is quiet, just like under the water. I scream, but the sound doesn't come out. There is a white flare behind the mountain. I cannot see the end of it. This is the road for the wounded. And there is no one to guide me towards the bright North Star. The world is on fire, every flower too. Where have lilac Ramondas disappeared to? At the end, it rises from ashes, one lilac Ramonda. So apparently it's a type of flower, a Ramonda. And I think the sentiment is so important in today's climate and culture. And it will cut right through to the heart. Even if you don't understand the language, I think you'd get that translated by the way she delivers. I see perhaps her vocal not being spotlighted the way it could be with the way the song is composed, but I don't think that'll hold her back. It's a softer song, and we've seen softer songs be fan beloved, except they might not necessarily qualify. This is definitely giving Au Jardim energy from 2018, and we all saw how that went. So there's songs that, can be really beloved and kind of experimental, alternative, introspective female ballads that don't necessarily translate into qualifications. So I'm a little worried about Serbia, I'm not going to lie, but in this lineup, I think it's probably okay. I think it's probably okay. And I hope that it has a moment on stage. I hope that we really feel the emotion of sort of overcoming flower blooming in the pavement kind of energy. So my last non-qualifier that I personally would like to see non-qualify is going to Finland. We've got another guy who is trying to do what Karja did last year, and he's coming from the same country. We've got, Windows 95 man with no rules. No qualifications, more like it. This song, unfortunately, I do think will qualify. I'll get to that. Because it's just populist. It's not something that I think the public isn't gonna. I think Croatia is gonna hurt it, but I don't see it hurting it enough to not qualify. But I don't think that there's anything. I just the song feels cheap. The song feels cheap. It feels like cheap Eurodance music with not a lot of thought or care. Respect to the artist, I think he is taking the contest seriously, but I'm not. And maybe I just have a quota. There can only be so many dudes doing dude things on the Eurovision stage. We've also got Estonia. That's not in this conversation. I think Estonia is different. But this is the joke entry of the contest, and I don't want to see it in the final. But unfortunately, I think we will. So then we've got 5 entries who I'll talk about, and I do see them. I do want them to qualify, but I'm not 100% sure they will. They're potentially in the most danger out of the 5 I mentioned earlier for the ones I think are certain to qualify and also want to. Slovenia is probably safe. Raven by Veronica. Veronica by Raven. The dynamic on this one, the sort of the instrumentation, the experimentalness, the experimental energy, it definitely could translate on stage and be captivating, or it could fall flat. So it could be like a Moldova situation. I'm not sure how this one will ultimately pay off. I am, you are Veronica. Only she knows your truth. We're channeling some dark, pagan, witchy stuff. We're going to the same school of Ireland, Ireland's entry. And I do think that Ireland and Slovenia may hurt each other. Like, we'll both go through. I hope so. But both are sort of in a similar conversation, though this one is a little more accessible melodically. Find me, wound me, protect me. Who do you chase when you leave me? Lift me up, let me go, love me. Who hunts you when you fear me? Who are you afraid of when you deny your desires? You look me in the eyes, the image of you shines in them. I am a frameless mirror, just a reflection of your fears. Kind of invocating this goddess who is sort of someone that watches over you. I do love the in the music video it reminds me of the Born This Way music video from Lady Gaga, the naked bodies twisting and morphing into each other with the way that this song is constructed in the dark alternative pop instrumentation. It really suits the sonics, and I think that I don't know if you can necessarily replicate that on stage in the same way, but I'd like to see it. I think the song, it needs bodies writhing on the floor. It needs very expressive, dynamic choreography, body choreography. Ireland is, like I said, this song is a little harder for me in that it is less accessible. I think seeing the music video, I got it more. I think that Eurosong performance, it's hard, it's if you're not fully engaged with how the song sounds, it sounds like she's off key at times. Um, it's so out there, and I really do respect it. It has grown on me so much. I would put it up a few more spots in my ranking if I were to make my 37 songs ranking now, just because I'm more used to the song. It takes a little bit of time to get used to. And I don't know for first time listeners how it will go over. But I will say this is Ireland definitely thinking outside of the box, and I like that. I want to see I want to see Ireland qualify, but I want to see Ireland qualify with something unique, um, something special, and this is that. Even if it's not entirely sonically my cup of tea, I like what Bambi Thug stands for. They're non-binary. They are, fully unapologetically like pagan and witchy and heavy metal and goth, and not always what you associate with Ireland. And I think that I don't know, it's just an interesting. Ireland's so used to the One Direction kind of sound that they've been going with for so many years, or like a pop number with a pretty girl. This is just really exciting. I'm really excited for what they represent, what Bambi represents. Um, and I hope this song qualifies, but I am worried for it. I am worried for it. We've got Cyprus. We've got Liar by Celia Kapsis. This song is fine. I mean, I call it, Love Island pop. It's got a catchy hook, propulsive pounding bass. I mean, it'll do fine, and it's what you always hear songs like this at Eurovision. I do think that it is a step up from what Luxembourg is offering. It's just a little bit more of an engaging chorus and It's just more fun to dance to. I just feel more electrified by it, even though I don't really have a horse in that race. I don't care if Cyprus doesn't qualify, I don't care. But I feel like it should. You know, we got 10 slots. We've got Australia. Mikali. One Blood. One Mikali by Electric Fields. This is a really interesting duo. I had never heard their other song that they'd submitted for Eurovision a few years ago. I definitely prefer it. I listened to it recently. By the way, I've not been really keeping up with the national finals because it's just too much. I just I don't want to get heartbroken about songs not going through to Eurovision. There's already enough heartbreak in seeing how Eurovision goes down. So this year and many years previous, I just focus on the songs that are actually representing the contest. But I do hear some songs that are in their national finals that they're competing against. So I think it's great that Electric Fields are finally getting a chance to represent for Australia. This is a universalist kind of metaphysical, like come one, come all kind of song that everyone can kind of feel at ease with. Some interesting vocals that I think could really speak to the heart and sell the performance really endearingly. So, you know, this could go either way. This could go either way. It's not a safe qualifier, that is for sure. It is not safe. That's why I have it at 9th. Even though it's most of 9th in my personal preference of songs I want to see qualify. I guess I would prefer to see the song qualify over Cyprus, so I suppose I would switch it to 8th. I'm sorry, I maybe missed that, but it definitely reminds me of Gustav's entry from last year with the house piano chords. And I definitely think the song lives and breathes in the verses. I think the chorus, it's this fun psychedelia, but I think it loses itself. It drains itself into kind of cheesy, auto-tuned drivel, in my opinion. It loses itself a little bit in how they sustain that note and try and... The production is not that... It's not really working for me. It's not clicking. But if they kept the song with that sort of rhythmic percussion that is very 90s, very dance hall, very dance floor, I think that song would be even more revelatory and fun to dance to, but they kind of lose it a little bit in the chorus. And some people may be turned off by how cheesy the lyrics are. I don't think they're cheesy. I just think they're unapologetically, you know, we're all connected, cosmic energy, love spirals. Like, it's very hippie, and there's nothing wrong with that. And then the last song that is really on the cusp for me is Portugal. And hot take here, but I don't think Portugal's song is all that this year. Grito by Yolanda. It's not really doing all that much for me. I gotta be real with you. I respect it because it's similar to Ramonda in that it has meaningful lyrics and a meaningful choreography and sentiment, but melodically it's not landing or connecting. It means scream. I heard it, I felt my body carrying me. We keep going, one and the other. I'm free falling, I'll let you know when I get there. I surrender myself little by little. Long strides, stuck in the starting line. I want to let go of what hurt me. I ask the morning star to make the day rise again. I've transformed every verse within me and given into the courage that still burns, beats the light in my chest and opens. I'm a flame that still burns. Resilience, inner turmoil, letting that channel itself into personal transformation. I see this song getting lost in translation, getting lost in the mix. I don't think that this is Portugal's strongest entry of late, and I still would like to see it go through. I'm always rooting for the alternative girls, and I think that this song has a presence, but it's just a little too mess, a little too lacking in dynamism, a little too lacking in vocals that are kind of gonna steal the show. It's a little tepid. It's a little tepid for me. For a song called Scream, it's awfully lukewarm. So if it were to slip through the cracks and we were to get something like Azerbaijan in instead, I wouldn't be that upset, honestly. The only song I would probably really side-eye it getting in over is like Moldova, because I think Moldova is just dead on arrival. I'm sorry. What are my predictions? here are my predicting qualifiers: Ukraine, Lithuania, Croatia. I think Croatia is going to win the semi. Cyprus, Finland, Luxembourg, Serbia, Portugal, and Slovenia. I do have Portugal making it in, but I think Portugal is on the cusp. And I do have Luxembourg and Finland making it in. Luxembourg is a returning country that has just such a narrative behind it that I don't want to say things could be rigged, but it would be a little bit, for them not to qualify. That happens. Countries come in and don't qualify the first year. They got to do better. They got to do better. I mean, I hope they're in as a stick. I hope they continue to be in the contest, but I don't think they deserve to qualify, but I see them qualifying. I also see Finland. I see Finland qualifying. At the end of the day, this is really hard. I ended up putting Slovenia in over Ireland just because I think Slovenia is a little more accessible. It breaks my heart to say that I think Ireland won't qualify, but they have not qualified in so long. I don't know. I don't know. I have them as the big question mark. They could or they could not. I would love to see them, and I would love to see both Slovenia and Ireland go in, but I don't think both will. I think Slovenia's spot may get taken up by Ireland or maybe Portugal. But maybe I'm overhyping Portugal. Maybe people are okay with Portugal not going through. And then I also don't have Australia going through. I mean, just looking at the songs I just listed, I just think that there's no room for them, which is really a shame. But like I said, I would replace Luxembourg and Finland with Australia. It's just a prediction. I don't know, at all if it's all that. Like I said, it's not what I want to happen. It's what I am predicting. So, I mean, we'll see. What are your, predictions? What songs do you need to qualify in the semi? What are your favorites and least favorites? I'll be interested to hear. And I will break down the contest after it has aired. I will talk about all 3 nights of Eurovision in one. So I'll get to reflect on my predictions. Because again, it all comes down to the actual performance. Studio cuts, which a lot of these, are still kind of going off of solely, a lot could change. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoy. Subscribe for more Eurovision content. Give this a like if you enjoyed. I'll see you all in my next video. Peace, love, and light. Bye.